her lead actress Cynthia became thinner. Although both of them
Bro, they're fucking scrawny.
Some trouble in high school, dropped out, and then I just been fighting since.
What changed it for you? You talked about some of that trouble. Whatever you're willing to share, what moment changed it for you that got you on the right track and into fighting and changing your life?
Fighting, I believe, changed my life. Finding something to put all my energy into, to focus on, to take me out of the circles I was in, just something to be great at. I didn't have that. I was just running aimlessly, reckless. I didn't have a goal. And when I found fighting, I wanted to be the best at that, so everything else didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that outlet is, even like I was talking with a guy, I just did a conference where I spoke in Mexico a couple of days ago. He has a nonprofit where he builds skate parks in cities, and he's built some in New Orleans. And I think just something so simple as a skateboard and a place to go ride and meet people and the camaraderie and stuff you learn from that to get out of bad places. Fighting was that for me. That was my safe place when I was young.
What advice would you give young athletes or young kids that are in similar?
When I was young.
What advice would you give young athletes or young kids that are in similar situations right now that you were growing up?
Chase your dreams. Because even when I started fighting, you know, family member, a lot of people, man, it's crazy. Like, and this was whenever mixed martial arts wasn't a mainstream sport it is now. It was even crazier doing it when I was 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
You know, because in the last 5, 10 years, it's really blown up to be one of the top 4, you know, NBA, NFL, baseball, MMA.
Yeah.
And it's a worldwide sport, too. So back then, it wasn't as popular. You know, guys with beards and a bunch of tattoos would be talking about mixed martial arts. But what, you saw that fight last weekend? But nowadays, I go to the grocery store, soccer moms, grandmas are talking about fighting and stuff, which is crazy to me to see the sport evolve. But I would tell them, chase their dreams. You know, if you believe it, you can do it. You know, you got to believe it before they do, so make them believe it.
There's a saying amongst fighters, this is a great question, but there's a saying amongst fighters that I didn't choose fighting, fighting chose me. What would be the one example that you could give us of your time growing up where you knew, hey, this was fighting choosing me instead of the other way around?
When my wife was in college, I was fighting, working a full-time job as a professional fighter. You know, hit my first bonus in the UFC when I was young, 20 or 21 years old.
Got a lot of those.
You know, and yeah, I mean, back in the day, they were 65, and they wrote you a check in the locker room right there. When, you know, when Lorenzo and them owned it, they would cut you a check in the locker room.
Oh, wow.
So I might have been making $14,000 to fight, and I get a $65,000 check. I'm like, you know, this is the life. This is how it's supposed to be. Got home, got out of debt, paid off my wife's car, you know. She moved with me to Florida, dropped out of school. Like, that wasn't by chance. I don't believe in coincidence like that. This was all supposed to happen. The people I met in my life through fighting, Mike Brown. I mean, the list goes on and on of incredible minds I've met through fighting, but I don't believe it was coincidence. Like, this was the path I was supposed to. It was written before I started, you know, following the script. I'm thankful, like, looking back on it now, because I still feel young, but sometimes I'll see old fights on TV, and I'm like, man, I can't believe I came this far and done the things I've done. I'm just thankful. I try to stay in a place of gratitude.
Yeah.
You literally fought your way to the top, right? And you fought your way out of debt. You fought your way to be able to take care of your family and take care of your wife. I feel like that's what everybody's trying to do in their own life in general. And that's why you're so relatable to everybody, because they can see themselves inside of your journey. I think that's a special part of you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man. And I feel like a lot of the fan base that I do have has been following me for so long, because that documentary came out in 2010, 2011. And that's like right when I got picked up by WEC. So it was just the perfect timing. Netflix picked it up and Showtime picked it up. So a lot of people saw really young me and got to follow me to this point of challenging for world titles and fighting these huge fights on pay-per-view. So I feel like people are a part of that with me. They feel and I feel.
That's a big part of it, you know.
I want to go away from fighting real quick because you mentioned your wife. You and your wife have been together since middle school.
Yes.
In today's society, that's like unheard of.
It is.
Yeah, we got married when we were 20. We moved in together at 18. We dated on and off through middle school, on and off through high school. You know, of course, that young breakups. I had a new girlfriend for 4 months or something like that. But we always got back together. When she graduated high school, we moved in together, and we've been living together since.
When did you know she was the one? When did it click for you?
I don't know how crazy deep we're going, but when I was in
as deep as you want to go.
No Diddy.
I didn't know. No
No Diddy. He did buy me dinner though, I got to say.
Really?
No, I don't know if you paid for it. Somebody did. You talking about going deep? You did buy dinner, man. What are we talking about?
When did you know your wife was the one?
Oh, like I said, this might be going too.
No, go for it. Whatever you feel like sharing.
When I was in juvenile detention, and me and her might have not even been dating at the time, she was writing me letters every week. One of the only, besides my mother, only letters I would get was her. And when I got out of juvenile detention, she was there. She drove all the way out, you know, to watch me leave and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl.
Wow. That is incredible.
That's a real one right there.
Somebody that's willing to stick with you through the tough times.
Yeah.
You know, our story, she saved my life. That's how I feel about it. You know, being able to teach me that real love does exist. When you were in juvenile detention, did you feel like the world had given up on you at that point, and maybe she didn't, and that's why you knew she was the one?
For sure, and the letters were always there. She would always reply, always, you know. I don't even know how she got the address or all the stuff like that, but she did. And she was always there. Honestly, like, not to sound corny, cheesy, bro, I wouldn't have made it as far, because I was living with her since I was 18. Since I was an amateur fighter, we were living together. I wouldn't have had an anchor to come back home to every night, to cook a meal with, to watch a movie, to go to Blockbuster back in the day and get some takeout Chinese food.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that was every weekend. I had a girl I loved, and she loved me, and I had somewhere to be. If I was that age, fighting and known like I was at that young age, I wouldn't have been on schedule in the gym every day. I wouldn't have had to lay my head on a pillow at a certain time every night. I'd have been cutting up with the rest of my buddies who were doing the stuff, you know, what they were doing, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like having that, and also, so having that to come home to and a reason to be home every night, but also her belief.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I didn't believe in myself, and she believed in me so much that I was like hard to quit on myself whenever she's like, thinks I can do anything I want.
Yeah.
You know?
Now you preaching, you know, I don't want to say you preaching to the choir, but we agree with you. Or I agree with you wholeheartedly. I feel like a woman that supports a man in his dreams makes him feel like he can fly. She told me about a post that you put up recently about your wife, you know, talking about how...
I don't know if it was recent, but I saw it on his page.
Yeah.
Yeah, about, you know, you're professing your love for her. And you're on this podcast talking and diving deep into your own relationship. And in today's society, there's a lot of men out there that don't think that's what they should do for their woman. They deem it as soft. I don't look at it that way. I think it's just showing appreciation. How do you feel about like that dynamic of the way the world has kind of changed?
See, I don't like that, man. Even like going back to the mental health stuff. In the last couple of years, I've started opening up about how I feel. And yeah, I did counseling. Yeah, I have bad days and stuff, which is taboo in the fight world. We don't talk about that. We're tough guys. In the gym, I mean, I'm sure it's the same way in the football locker room. You know, you don't say, man, I'm having a bad day. I'm just really down. Like, man, shut up and lace your gloves up. We got to get through these rounds. Like, you don't really talk about it. And there's a time and a place for it, obviously. But that's not weakness. If anything, I think, like, as older and being able to look at things in a different way, I think that's strength.
Yeah.
Like, hey, something's not right now. You know, I need to talk about this. I don't like that stuff. Like, the way society's going with that stuff, that's not soft. That's hard.
Yes,
you know?
I agree.
Your wife has literally been with you through before all the success, before everything that you have today. How does she keep you grounded?
I didn't have a car. She drove me to my first fight in Arkansas. I didn't even have a car. She stayed with me like in a motel, the worst, like a Motel 8, Motel 6. They kept the lights on for us. It was barely, you know, the carpet was soggy and nasty, and you know those kind of hotels.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she drove me to weigh-ins, everything, you know. I don't know. I just could never do that again with another person because she's seen the struggles from the beginning. So I could never rebuild this, and I never want to have to.
Yeah.
But she believed in me at times where I didn't believe in myself. You know, that's what I say, and that's the truth to it.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of guys in the fight game or just real NFL as well, just in sports, professional sports. They go through the ebbs and flows and whatever, the different relationships. What do you think has been the key to the longevity for you in your home life being so stable? Being
able to turn off the fighting. I feel like I get to decompress when I come home. You know, in the last 8 years, my daughter's 8. I get to come home and be dad and watch cheer stuff with her and watch her work on her routine and go with her to tumbling and gymnastics since she was young. I get to be the fighter and do all that stuff, but then I get to come home, take the gloves, put them down, and just be dad. I think that has been a huge balance for me, man. Because if you're the fighter all the time, you get burnt out. You know, I need some kind of balance. I'll turn that on when I need to, but I'll go and braid her hair when I get home. Like that type of thing, you know. I need balance. And everybody does. But that was a big thing for me, and it kind of put things in perspective, too, about just the damage you take in fighting and what I'm giving up, you know. Before that, I was fighting for myself. I was fighting for my wife, of course, but till I had a daughter, and I would have never been talking about retiring at 36 if I didn't have a little girl at home.
Yeah.
Right. If there's a dad or a soon-to-be dad at home right now, about to have a girl, it's, you know, I know how it changes your life. You know how it changes. How would you articulate to them how not just having a child, but having a daughter completely changes your perspective? Yeah, just some of the things you're doing, you think about your little girl back at home. If you're in a contact sport, you think about the damage you're taking in your body, your brain, and how you want to be there to walk her down the aisle one day and be
with it, you know, be there for her forever. It just, like I said, puts things into perspective. It makes me think about things that never crossed my mind before I had a daughter.
Right.
You know?
You met your wife in middle school, right? And clearly it all worked out perfectly for you. You married her. If your daughter is now going to be in middle school soon, if she comes home and, you know, tells dad, I got a boyfriend, would you freak out?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. We'll see. There's going to be a vetting process for sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure boyfriend or said boyfriend is going to go to YouTube, watch the highlights, and be like, I probably shouldn't mess up on Dustin Poirier's daughter. That's what I shouldn't do.
Yeah. But I read a book, Strong Father, Strong Daughter, a few years ago, and it's like a bunch of parts of the book were talking about your daughter's going to find a man like what she sees in you. Mm-hmm. So I always like try to be affectionate to her mother in front of her and do the right, you know, say the right things, because that's what she's going to accept a man to treat her like.
Yes.
So that's actually a really good book if you never read it.
No, definitely gonna pick that up, and it's something that we also believe in. It's like as your kids get older, you
find a man like what she sees in
you.
Yeah. But I read a book, Strong Father, Strong Daughter, a few years ago, and it's like a bunch of parts of the book were talking about your daughter's going to find a man like what she sees in you. Mm-hmm. So I always like try to be affectionate to her mother in front of her and do the right, you know, say the right things, because that's what she's going to accept a man to treat her like.
Yes.
So that's actually a really good book if you never read it.
No, definitely gonna pick that up, and it's something that we also believe in. It's like as your kids get older, you know this now. You said Parker's 8 years old. They start to notice things and they start to see things, and I'm a big believer that if you want your kid to work hard, you have to work hard. Mm-hmm. You can't just tell them,
right,
hey, go run some laps. You got to go show them. Like, right, you go run the laps with them. Mm-hmm. If you want them to be disciplined, you have to be disciplined. If you want them to treat people with respect, you have to treat people with respect. How do you go about doing that in your at-home life? You have more to see things, and I'm a big believer that if you want your kid to work hard, you have to work hard. Mm-hmm. You can't just tell them, right, hey, go run some laps. You got to go show them. Like, right, you go run the laps with them. Mm-hmm. If you want them to be disciplined, you have to be disciplined. If you want them to treat people with respect, you have to treat people with respect. How do you go about doing that in your at-home life? Because I know for us, it's like just telling my daughters that I love them. Right. I think that's big. That way, when a boy says that to him in the future, it's not like, oh my God, he told me he loves me, you know? So we try to reinforce to them they're strong, they're beautiful, they can do anything they put their minds to. How do you want them to be disciplined? You have to be disciplined. If you want them to treat people with respect, you have to treat people with respect. You want them you go run the laps with them. Mm-hmm. If you want them to be disciplined, you have to be disciplined. If you want them to treat people with respect, you have to treat people with respect. How do you go about doing that in your at-home life? Because I know for us, it's like just telling my daughters that I love them. Right. I think that's big. That way, when a boy says that to him in the future, it's not like, oh my God, he told me he loves me, you know? So we try to reinforce to them they're strong, they're beautiful, they can do anything they put their minds to. How do you do that with your daughter, with Parker, and also with your wife?
Like you just said, telling them that they're strong, they're beautiful. That's our affirmation every single day. She goes to a private school, so they don't have buses. So me or my wife or both of us drop her off every morning, pick her up every afternoon.
Nice.
So before we pull up to school, I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I'm smart. My mom and dad love me. I'm going to have a great day. Those just small things like that I wasn't taught as a kid.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and also practicing what I preach. Like, she sees me work hard. She sees me start businesses and chase dreams. And she's at an age where she understands, like, we own this business or that building daddy owns and stuff like that. So seeing that and seeing work ethic, I hopefully that, you know, she absorbs that and realizes she can do anything she wants.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's a quote for a reason that says that the best thing a father can do for his daughter is love their mother. And I love that you prioritize showing your wife love in front of your daughter. You know, our daughter's favorite thing right now, our 5-year-old, is watching me and Rob and saying, ew. She just goes from room to room, ew.
She did pick up one bad habit that I will say on the show. Anytime my wife's in the kitchen or doing laundry or bent over,
she slaps her butt. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
That is a staple of the Griffin household as well.
Oh my God, that's funny.
You mentioned that, and you know, Parker's going around saying, "Hey, Daddy owns this building. That this is Daddy's, you know, hot sauce right here." How does she manage seeing daddy punch another man in the face, put him in a guillotine choke.
Attempt.
Right? Attempt. Right? I know that's the go-to.
Oh, yeah.
Other than knocking people out. But how does she manage that and know, like, this is just a job that you're doing? You're passionate about it, but it's a job, and your job is to hurt other people, but not take that with her to school and try to hurt other people.
She's like has a really kind soul. She wants everybody to do good. She wants everybody to be well. She doesn't have like that killer instinct in her that I see yet, you know. But she was born into fighting, so it's not a big deal to her. Like other people, obviously you're a professional athlete, former professional athlete, and to her, she was born not a big time.
These old, they start then.
I read a book, Strong Father, Strong Daughter, a few years ago, and it's like a bunch of parts of the book were talking about your daughter's gonna find a man like what she sees in you. So I always like try to be affectionate to her mother in front of her and do the right, say the right things, because that's what she's gonna accept a man to treat her like.
Yes.
So that's actually a really good book if you never read it.
Nah, definitely gonna pick that up, and it's something that we also believe in. It's like as your kids get older, you know this now. You said Parker's 8 years old. They start to notice things and they start to see things, and I'm a big believer that if you want your kid to work hard, you have to work hard. You can't just tell them,
Right.
hey, go run some laps. You got to go show them. Like, you go run the laps with them. If you want them to be disciplined, you have to be disciplined. If you want them to treat people with respect, you have to treat people with respect. How do you go about doing that in your at-home life? Because I know for us, it's like just telling my daughters that I love them.
Right.
I think that's big. That way, when a boy says that to him in the future, it's not like, oh my God, he told me he loves me, you know? So we try to reinforce to them they're strong, they're beautiful, they can do anything they put their minds to. How do you do that with your daughter, with Parker, and also with your wife?
Like you just said, telling them that they're strong, they're beautiful. That's our affirmation every single day. She goes to a private school, so they don't have buses. So me or my wife or both of us drop her off every morning, pick her up every afternoon.
Nice.
So before we pull up to school, I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I'm smart. My mom and dad love me. I'm gonna have a great day. Those just small things like that I wasn't taught as a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and also practicing what I preach. Like she sees me work hard. She sees me start businesses and chase dreams. And she's at an age where she understands like we own this business or that building daddy owns and stuff like that. So seeing that and seeing work ethic, I hopefully that, she absorbs that and realizes she can do anything she wants.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's a quote for a reason that says that the best thing a father can do for his daughter is love their mother. And I
Yeah.
love that you prioritize showing your wife love in front of your daughter. You know, our daughter's favorite thing right now, our 5-year-old, is watching me and Rob saying, ew. She just goes from room to room, ew.
She did pick up one bad habit that I will say on the show. Anytime my wife's in the kitchen or doing laundry or bent over,
She slaps her butt. I knew it. I knew it.
yeah.
That is a staple of the Griffin household as well.
Oh my God, that's
But
funny.
you mentioned that, and Parker's going around saying, "Hey, Daddy owns this building. That this is Daddy's. Hot sauce right here." How does she manage seeing Daddy punch another man in the face, put him in a guillotine choke?
Attempt.
Right? Attempt. Right? I know that's the go-to.
Oh, yeah.
Other than knocking people out. But how does she manage that and know like this is just a job that you're doing? You're passionate about it, but it's a job, and your job is to hurt other people, but not take that with her to school and try to hurt other people.
She's like has a really kind soul. She wants everybody to do good. She wants everybody to be well. She doesn't have like that killer instinct in her that I see yet, But she was born into fighting, so it's not a big deal to her. Like other people, obviously you're a professional athlete, former professional athlete, and to her, she was born into that life. The day she was born in the hospital in Boca was the night Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz had their rematch.
Oh.
So look, my wife is like 4 or 5 hours after giving labor. I got the laptop up. I'm renting the pay-per-view. I got food getting delivered at the hospital. I got a fight party on her first day, bro. Like, this is her life. She like fighting. It's not a big deal. When she was like 4 or 5 years old, she thought everybody's dad fought.
Okay.
Yeah, like I remember asking her something. She went to her friend's house or had a play date with another girl, and we asked her about her dad, and she said, "Oh, he was probably just at the gym. He wasn't at the house. He was at the gym." She had no clue that people had jobs. She just thought everybody's dad fought.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not a big deal to her.
Would you let her fight?
Nah, I did it so she don't have to.
There you go.
Yeah,
What's harder, parenting or fighting in a championship bout?
they're both tough. They're both tough. I would say parenting because that never stops.
Right.
Fights 25 minutes. This is gonna be for life.
No doubt. You said something there before she asked you that question. You said you did it so she didn't have to. So I'm a military brat. And what that means, do you come from a military family?
No.
So a military brat is just a kid whose parents was in the military. When I talk to my mom and dad, my mom is here today, I asked them, like, hey, is it okay if I go into the military? That's the same exact answer they gave me. I did it so you didn't have to.
Right.
And I think that's huge. I think that's why maybe, I don't know, you know, the universe has a weird way of like connecting people. Maybe that's why I'm such a big fan of you, because I can see that in you. You're doing it for a bigger purpose. And I think that's, you know, you've been able to talk about that, you know, so far on this show to the fans at home. I think that's huge. They get to see a different side of you and understand that you're not just a guy out there that's got dynamite in both hands, right? You got a dynamite heart as well.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
So sweet.
You've been awesome tonight, man. Not just on the podcast, just you're a cool dude in person.
You've been through so much and your 36 years of life. What role does God play in your life?
A huge role. You know, I'm a Christian. I was raised in Baptist, non-denominational churches with my grandmother. Me and my mother lived with my grandmother for a while. And my grandmother taught me how to pray. And my daughter prays every night. She goes to a Christian school. A huge part of my life. How
would you say God's shown up for you the most?
Putting the right people around me. In the last few years, like I was talking about when I went through some mental up and downs.
Yeah.
I just had the right people in my corner that I didn't even know that those were the people I would need to lean on. And they were there for me. That's just one example. I mean, I've just been taking the blind steps by faith, and things have been working out, you know.
Sometimes God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I think one thing we read about you was that when you first started fighting, you were fighting in like, you know, arenas and rodeos.
Rodeo arenas.
I guess, what was the craziest experience you had in your very early fighting experience? Where's the craziest place you fought, or the crazy experiences you had?
I fought in some pretty crazy spots, but one of the ones that really comes to mind is early in my professional career. I fought in a rodeo arena, and inmates set up all the chairs and the cage and all this stuff.
Oh my
and we
God.
warmed up in like horse and cow stalls with dirt floors. So like we go to the cage and our feet are black because we know we don't have shoes on, warming up, kicking and doing stuff.
Right.
But the floors are dirt in the actual outdoor rodeo arena. It's pretty wild. In Louisiana, New Iberia, Louisiana.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes.
Do they still do fights there?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't think so, bro. But they put on probably around that time, maybe 5 or 6 events. A company was going there often, but they would sell the rodeo arena out.
Right.
You know.
Who did you look up to when you were growing up in the fight scene?
In mixed martial arts, BJ Penn was a big favorite of mine. George St. Pierre always was. I just thought he did things the right way, spoke well, made fighting business, not personal. Right. He made it look like a professional sport to him at a time when other guys were just being crazy and stuff.
Yeah.
Those two guys. Obviously, Chuck Liddell, when I was growing up, knocking everybody out. The Iceman was a big deal.
Yeah.
And around the time, like the ultimate, Forrest Griffin was a big guy, like to me.
Yes.
And my jiu-jitsu coach started working with Forrest, and he was coming down to Louisiana and training and stuff. So I got to meet him in person and train with him and go out to Vegas and hang out with him and stuff. So that was kind of a surreal moment to me. But all those guys, just some of the pioneers, you know. Eve Edwards is a good buddy of mine.
Okay.
The grandmaster of Thug Jitsu. He's a Texas guy, but he was doing this when it was bare knuckle, and you know he probably has 70-something fights, and he's running the gym now in Texas, and he's a good buddy of mine.
You show a respect to the past, right, to the past fighters. So we actually trained at the UFC Performance Institute last year, and I had a chance to spar with Forrest. And I don't think he realized how big of a fan I was of him, but I quickly realized that like there's a difference in training and sparring and fighting. So like for anyone out there that's wondering, like they hit back. And when the hits come back your way and you're not used to that, like I've been in fights before, don't get me wrong, but I have a respect for MMA and mixed martial arts. Forrest hit me in the face like 3 times. I couldn't see anything. Like my eyes blurry, everything. I like danced around for a little bit to like play it off for him, and then me and him got into this punching contest. Am I right?
Yeah.
Where it was just body shots. Non-stop body shots. And then we went back and forth like 5 or 6 times. And then I'm man enough to say that Forrest Griffin is a beast, even at his old age now. But it was an honor to be in there with him. So to hear you talk about, you know, how much of a fan you are of his fighting style is pretty cool. Tell the people what Thug Jitsu is, though.
Thug Jitsu is the art of the modern-day beatdown. Eve Edwards started this in Texas. Like I said, he's a pioneer. I got to corner him in his retirement fight in the UFC. He's fought for every major organization, Elite XC, Bulldog, Bellator, UFC, and the list goes on and on. Pride, the list goes on and on, you know. But him and my first jiu-jitsu coach, Tim Crater, first black belt in Louisiana in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, had a gym in Houston a long time ago, and he introduced me to Eve back in the day, and I had knew of Eve from the old hook and shoot video. This is really old. Hook and shoot, Pride, and then I started training with him. He kind of took me under his wing, and he would always have. Wrestling's not big in Louisiana, but he was big on. He was a good kickboxer, but he was big on learning wrestling. So in Texas, he would always have collegiate guys there. He would fly him out, put him at his house, and let him stay. So I would get in my truck and drive to Austin or drive to wherever he was and stay with him and train with these wrestlers because I couldn't see that type of wrestling here in the South.
Right.
And we just became really good friends, and then I adopted, that's my fighting style, Thug Jitsu.
Yeah.
I got handed the torch, you know.
That's awesome. As a Thug Jitsu connoisseur yourself.
He would fly him out, put him at his house, and let him stay. So I would get in my truck and drive to Austin or drive to wherever he was and stay with him and train with these wrestlers because I couldn't see that type of wrestling here in the South.
Right.
And we just became really good friends, and then I adopted, that's my fighting style, Thug Jitsu.
Yeah.
I got handed the torch, you know.
That's awesome. As a Thug Jitsu connoisseur yourself, what would you say is the fight that has defined your career?
I have so many of them. The one that made me most known, obviously, is knocking Conor McGregor out.
I think it's the comeback, personally, from the first fight you guys had.
Right, and I had to wait 7 years to get his ass back.
I think that story, I mean, I followed the story. I think
Yeah,
most
and he was
people
poking and talking. You know how he
Yes.
plays the game. For
Yes.
7 years, I had to sit back and listen to this guy and watch him rise to the top and become double champion and
Yeah.
all this stuff, you know, but I got his ass back, man.
No, you did
What,
get it.
got it
what
back.
keeps you going? You say you had to wait for that moment for 7 years. You know, the blood, sweat, the exhaustion. What keeps you going?
Good thing I was still young when I lost to him. I might have been 23, 24,
Yep.
so I wasn't even thinking about retiring.
Yeah.
I just stuck to the craft, stayed a student, got better. Not even really chasing him. Our paths we both changed weight classes. Our paths just ended up crossing again at the perfect time. Yeah, I wasn't chasing him. I was just trying to progress my career, and then it happened. They called me.
So one storyline that along that I followed was how you changed as a fighter from your first fight to the second and third fight with Conor. Obviously, he broke his leg in one of the fights, and you knocked him out in the other fight. Do you think that you just became a more well-rounded fighter and were able to continue to grow, like you said, progress your career, and that's why you were able to get him 2 times in a row, and maybe he wasn't doing that?
That's part of it for sure. He might have, you know, the money he made after he fought Floyd, you know, made $100 million fighting Floyd, then came back defending belts, making really good money. He got rich, started his business, sold it for a couple $100 million. Like Marvin Hagler, it's hard to wake up and run those miles when you sleep in the silk sheets. That's true, man. You know, you have to be fighting for something, trying to make. When you made it to the top, that's why guys like John Jones, Khabib, those guys who make it there and have money and have everything and stay there for that long, that's impressive, man.
It's unbelievable.
That's so crazy. I think it was my dedication to the sport and wanting to get better, and also me working on my mentality from a competitive edge, like getting a sports psychologist, talking to him, meditating, doing things I never did before. Because that first fight, bro, he really got into my head. You know, he said some stuff when we crossed paths that there were deep things, you know, like not just like F you or I'm gonna whip your ass. Not stuff like that, like little pokes that like I had to, when I left the confrontation, I was thinking about it.
Right.
And then fight night, and we passed each other, or we were in the same hallway. He did something. He was smiling at me, and I was like, he just really got under my skin. I was blinded by the anger, and I was thinking about everything he said. When I would go to sleep, I was thinking about it.
Right.
And then in the next fights, I just had so many fights and so much experience that I didn't care.
Right.
You know, I didn't care. Nothing could like get in my vessel. It was just noise. I didn't care.
Do you think it was the fights that you got that made it to where you became immune to that, or was it just something that you decided, like, I'm just not going to pay attention to anyone who's trying to get under my skin before a fight?
It was both. It was both. It was the fights and the self-belief I had through those years of grinding and being in wars and getting my hand raised. But it was also, like I said, reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, you know, how can I be more centered? How can I be more calm? Let me take a moment out of each day, you know, and I think that really helped me.
Yeah.
Has that been mentally your toughest fight?
Mentally, yeah.
Yeah.
Conor was my mentally toughest fight.
Who's been your toughest opponent?
Some guys, like skill-wise, Khabib was tough. Islam was tough skill-wise. But just gritty toughness, Dan Hooker was a tough one. Gaethje's tough. You know, Max was tough when I fought him in Atlanta. I've had a few guys like that just wouldn't go down. They would fought to the bitter end, you know, like tooth and nail. We're both going to the hospital after this. Yeah. Probably it was either Gaethje or Hooker, and they're fighting, so I can't wait to see that because that's gonna be a head-on collision.
Fight. We'll talk about that in
Gaethje's tough. You know, Max was tough when I fought him in Atlanta. I've had a few guys like that just wouldn't go down. They would fought to the bitter end, you know, like tooth and nail. We're both going to the hospital after this. Yeah. Probably it was either Gaethje or Hooker, and they're fighting, so I can't wait to see that because that's gonna be a head-on collision.
Fight. We'll talk about that in a second. You brought that up. Some of the guys you mentioned, Islam and Khabib, grapplers.
For me, very good, and not just grapplers. Like I can roll around. I've been doing jiu-jitsu. I've been competing in jiu-jitsu since I was 18. I stopped competing when I was a purple belt, but I used to do every tournament. You know, I got my black belt in 2012, I believe. I have good jiu-jitsu, but it's just the grappling, the wrestling, combined with the jiu-jitsu that they have. Their sambo style is like a mix. It's really tough to deal with. And they're doing things that are unorthodox. Collegiate wrestlers, good freestyle. All these wrestlers aren't doing small things that they're doing, and you don't realize it till you get in there with those guys.
Right. The question I have on that is, in your opinion, being a guy that's, like you said, 50 fights, like that's a lot of fights. Not many guys get that many, and you've just been a legend in this game for so long. What's harder to do, outstrike a guy or out-wrestle a guy?
Outstriking is like, it's more flashy, it's more fun.
Yeah.
Wrestling side is like more gritty, more of a deep muscle grind. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. And guys like we were talking about, they're relentless.
Yeah.
Shot after shot, position after position, they're fighting to the bitter end to get on top of you, and you're doing everything you can to try to reverse them, sweep them, get back to your feet. And it feels like they have 6 arms, you know, like everything's holding you. They're using their head, their feet, like hands, foot sweeping you. And it's just, for me, that's tougher than getting in a kickboxing match with somebody. That's more wearing on you.
Going back to Conor McGregor, you guys have a legendary feud. What did that do for your career? Like, and would you fight him again?
Sold a lot of pay-per-views. That's what it did for my career. Oh, yeah. That second and third fight, we put up some numbers, man.
Yeah.
I think we might have like in the top 5 or top 6, 7 of UFC's biggest pay-per-views ever. Me and Conor are 2 of them.
Right.
Wow.
And that's big. Nah, cause like why? If I fought him again, it would just be for the money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Cause it felt so nice. I whipped him twice.
You see he rhymed right there? That's pretty good.
That was
You know,
good.
like it would just be for the money, and the money would be incredible. But I don't know if he's ever gonna come back. You know, I was his last 2 fights.
Yep.
That was years ago. He still hasn't fought.
Yep.
I just think he's one of those guys who's addicted to the limelight. You know, he just wants to be in the mix and the social media and
He's
saying I'm coming
definitely
back,
in
and
the
maybe
news
he
right
does.
now.
Maybe he does come back. You know, but I just think he has an addiction to the light.
He's diving all up in this segment. So we're going to start this new segment called the Diamond Collection. Obviously, paying homage to you. But we just wanted to ask you questions about things that we know you're an expert at. So that Conor question was one of them.
Okay.
Because piggybacking off of that, him coming back, not coming back, is it hard for a fighter to get back the grit of training in the dusty gym and, you know, the sweat of all the local guys and like that grind? So I'm just being honest.
Bro, so much more goes into it too. The cuts, the bumps and bruises, the staph infections, the ringworms, just the weekly stuff you deal with being in the training camp and being in the gym nonstop, you know. With
Is it hard to get that back once you, like, he didn't make it like a fighter would make it. He made it beyond the octagon with, like you said, the hundreds of millions of dollar deals. Is it hard to get that back when you're wearing Gucci and Louis Vuitton all the time?
Look, I love to talk trash on Conor, but like if anybody can put it all together and come back, if he can find that passion and that fire and put it together, this guy can. I'm not saying anybody, but this guy can. He's special.
Yeah.
You know, he has something special, but only he knows, you know, when he looks in the mirror, if he can really do it again.
Yeah.
But if he believes it, I believe he could.
Yeah. Inside the octagon, outside the octagon, 2 different things, right? Inside the octagon, I agree with you. This guy's special. He's a very special fighter. If you were put in his shoes and you had made that hundreds of millions of dollars and you decided to make that return, what would you do? What would you do to get that edge back?
Man, I love when the chips are down. I love when I'm the dog, my back's against the wall. I would use that as the motivation and just push forward with that. That would be I would anchor to that and harness on that and just every day in the gym, sweating, bleeding, grinding, just thinking I'm going to show everybody who I really am.
Right.
Coming back from a broken leg, coming back from a few losses, everybody writing me off. That would be my motivation because I love that stuff. I've never lost 2 fights in a row in my career because of that. Every time I lose, I'm like, this ain't happening.
Right.
He's going to have to kill me. And I've always come back and won.
Yeah.
Talking about losing multiple fights in a row, where do you think Adesanya goes from here?
Great question. Me and my wife were talking about that. It's like, it's just so crazy that he was on top of the world, king of the world.
Top of the world,
you know?
man.
It's the highest of the highs and lowest of the lows in this sport. And now, what is he, 35, 36?
Yep.
You know, been stopped a couple times now. I don't know him personally. I've met him a few times, fought on some cards with him, spoke to him, but I don't know him personally. I think at this, where he's at right now, he would have to take a couple steps back because he's fighting like #1 contenders and championship fights every time out. He would take a couple steps back, try to find the fire again, fight an up-and-comer,
Right.
you know. Not like the guy he just fought, they call him an up-and-comer, but this guy's established, beat some high names, and now he might be next for the title.
Right.
Go back in the rankings, fight number 8, fight number 9, fight, you know, and see where you're at physically, performance-wise, and mentally.
Right.
See how you feel after that. And when the smoke clears, then he needs to make a decision. Because if he's not going to retire, I think he needs to take some steps back, give a younger guy a chance, and then take it from there.
Yeah, because we love Israel Adesanya's fighting style. You know, striker, one of the most elite strikers we've ever seen.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know you respect his fight game as well. But we've seen this in the sport so often now. It feels like with some of the kings of yesteryear. You look at Volk, who's had a couple wars here lately that didn't look like the same Volk. Adesanya going, losing his last 3, and he's 1-3 in his last 4 fights after being on top of the world, beating a Poatan, Alex Pereira. Then you also look at like Henry Cejudo, being there and then not being there. Kamaru Usman, and it's like
Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, well, Tony's like.
He was on like a 13-fight win streak.
And then
he was the boogeyman.
What do you think it is that it happens in the UFC or in MMA so frequently where the guy is just like king of the world and then boom, drops off the face of the earth?
First off, Father Time is undefeated.
Right.
That's a big part of it. And I think biologically we all age and wear the miles differently. Somebody might hit that odometer reading at 25 fights in. Somebody might hit it at 50 fights in.
Right.
We all got to hit that certain point where our athleticism and our skill level meet and then start to diminish or something. That's why I'm thinking about retiring this next one.
Right.
And I will retire. It's because like 36, what happens after that? Am I going to get more athletic? Yeah, you can teach it. You can teach an old dog new tricks, but these guys, the sport's getting younger and younger, faster and faster. It's evolving so much that am I getting stronger? Am I getting faster? Maybe I'm getting smarter, but so is everybody else.
Right.
You just have to look in the mirror, like I said with Conor, and be honest with yourself. Hold yourself accountable, and maybe take one more chance at it against an up and comer. See how you feel, see where you're at. But we all got an odometer reading at some point it's gonna hit.
So why hasn't it happened to you? Why hasn't it happened to John Jones?
¿Qué? Ahorita, vete para allá, vete para allá. Ahorita voy para allá, mija. Vete para allá, mija, ahorita voy para allá.
Guys that have been at the top for so long. Why haven't you guys had that odometer reading where it's like, well, this guy's got a lot of fights. It might be time for him to get him out of here. You just keep coming back. And like you said, you never lost 2 fights in a row.
Genetics, because I would say fighting style, but I've been in a lot of wars.
You have.
And
yeah.
I've seen other fighters, still put together well and move well and still have great balance and reaction time and speed. They have a lot of wars too. It's genetics, I think. And the way you treat yourself after hard fights, after hard training sessions. I prioritize fats and I'm taking care of my brain and, research about lion's mane and creatine and all these crazy different omegas and stuff like that for concussions and hyperbaric chambers and just, dude, trying to be the best I can at my sport and also trying to save what got me to the dance,
Yeah.
So if anything, that's a great thing, I think, combat sports, even football. And they are starting to, people are starting to open up about it and more research is going into it. But I think taking better care of ourselves after games, after sparring, after fights is huge for longevity.
Yeah. You have Justin Gaethje coming back from a brutal knockout from Max Holloway to fight now in UFC 313 against Hooker. How do you come back from something like that, then step back into the ring? We were there for UFC.
We were there.
What
We
was
were
that,
there
300?
for it was 300.
300.
Yeah.
We were
That
there.
was-
We saw it. It was very brutal. I'm always amazed at how not just Gaethje coming back from that, but just fighters in general. If you get knocked out or it doesn't go the way you want it to go, in front of not just those fans, the entire world.
Hey. ¿Qué es eso? Dámelo. Vete para allá y quita esas chingaderas. Doble. Dámelo. ¿Quieres saber? ¿Te dio una cuadra de terror? Vete para allá.
And your family. How do you get back in the octagon and be like, yeah, I'm that man.
Yeah.
I'm the baddest man on the planet. Like, how does that happen for a fighter?
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes things like that break guys, and they can never come back from it. I've seen people, front runners, winning fights, look sharp, highlight reel every fight, and they get stopped bad like that, and they just don't know how to come back from it, and they're done. I've seen it happen throughout the years I've been fighting. But guys like Gaethje, he's had a bunch of fights. You know, I knocked him out. He came back.
Yeah.
He knocked me out. I came back. Some of us just have that in us. Yeah, I think some of us just have that in us. We know who we are by the time we got to that point.
Right.
If it happens early and you're still trying to figure things out, you're like, maybe this ain't for me. We're too far in. Now we're lifers in this now. We're all going to push it to the end. So, yeah, I think that's it.
It doesn't affect confidence at all.
It does. It does, especially if you've never been flatlined like that. You know,
Okay.
He's been stopped before. I stopped him, but he wasn't triple Z. You know,
Yeah.
He wasn't triple Z.
He was definitely. He might have been.
That one
quadruple
was-
Z's on that one.
that was bad. You know, I was so shocked.
It's not funny because he's our friend. Like we love Justin Gaethje. It was hard to watch.
That was tough.
It was
And
very
And
difficult to
I was
see.
telling everybody, I picked Max to win the fight, but I thought he was going to stick and move, outpoint him, be a better
Yep.
striker. Max is big, man. People say, oh, he's a 45.
You fought him? Yeah, you fought him
he's
twice,
big. I
right?
fought him twice. He's big. He's a big guy. And his range, and he's got really good technique. And Justin's a lot of power, but a little goofy on his feet, a little sloppy, a little off balance. And I just thought Max was going to capitalize and be the matador, touch, win rounds. But I did not think he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just as surprised as everybody else.
Were you? This wasn't on the list, but were you surprised that Ilya Taporia was able to put out Max so quickly?
I knew he could. I just didn't think he would. You know, I just didn't think he was going to do it because nobody has. That dude is something special, man.
Yeah.
I was working out. I actually worked the ESPN desk in Bristol
Okay.
for that fight. So I said it on broadcast. He's everything he said he was, and I still believe that.
Wow.
You know,
You think he could beat Islam?
I'm not saying he can, but I would buy the pay-per-view.
I'd buy the pay-per-view
Yeah,
too.
I'd buy the pay-per-view. It's be a tough one. I've never seen Ilya in person, first of all.
Right.
I know they say he's big. He walks on 190 pounds and all that stuff, but I've been in there with Islam, and that's a big dude.
Yeah.
I just think that size difference would be huge. But the guy's got fast hands and great technique. You know,
Yeah.
he can knock anybody out.
Right.
You know,
It's almost like he's throwing up. You know what I'm saying?
the height.
Yeah, not like throwing up, but
Yeah,
like he's
yes.
throwing punches up.
Right.
Right. Which
Right.
makes it him has an easier.
I think 45,
Miami,
55, even 170,
huh?
he lands clean. He knocks anybody in those divisions out. I think 85 would be tough just because they're so rangy. So for him to get that close and use those techniques he uses, he has really good uppercuts and hooks, those short kind of punches. It would be hard to do against a big guy. But 170, 155, 145, you get in front of him, he'll put you out, I think.
Yeah.
One mistake.
One mistake. Yeah.
If there's one thing you can change about the MMA landscape today, what would it be?
Man, I wish it was like it used to be when I first started. Like we had the sport was for us.
Right.
It was for the dogs. Like it wasn't popular. It was for us. Now that money's, and I'm not complaining about money.
Yeah.
But now that we're on ESPN, and I just hate the fashion show that it's turned into with like, I love watching Sean O'Malley fight, but just the outfits and the crazy flashy stuff and the characters like the Kobe Covingtons, the Conor McGregors, and Conor's a great fighter. Incredible fighter, one of the best punchers, some of the best timing, just an incredible, gifted athlete. Just all the other stuff. It's not sport anymore. I don't like that peacocking stuff. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Now, if two people dislike each other and it's honest and they really dislike each other,
Right.
and they talk at the press conference, then that's cool. That's real. But just the fabricated stuff, I just hate it. I just hate the fake stuff.
You
and I think money and popularity brought that into the sport.
100%.
You see guys rise to the top when they do it.
100%.
I just don't like that.
Because it makes them more marketable.
That's what it was. What it wasn't what fighting was when I started. It was
Right.
about honor, about discipline, about going there and bleeding and being the best fighter.
Right.
And to a part, it is still that, but it's changed into this fashion show. What can you say to get a clickbait? Like, what can
To
you
get a
say that
rise
everybody's
out-
talking about?
Yeah.
Somebody's making a TikTok clip of your press conference because you said something outlandish. You know?
Right.
I don't like that stuff.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
You want to
that's-
sell fights, but be real, man.
It's the same thing that's happened in the media where people are just saying outlandish things because they want to get clipped
Right.
and they want to grow in that way.
And it works.
And it does work, and it's unfortunate that that's the way that it's gone. But I also think it's why you and Conor have two of the highest selling pay-per-views ever because it was real.
That was real.
That was real. You
That was
weren't.
real.
There's no faking there. That was real for what he said about you, and he has a tendency to
Spoke about my family.
To make things real by talking about people's families. And we
Right.
saw him talk about Khabib family and his wife and his dad. And
You don't do that. As a man, you don't do that. This ain't sport, you know.
Right.
That's how you get hurt
yes.
outside of a cage. You
Yeah.
know, that's not cool to me.
No, I know exactly what you mean. And you and Michael Chandler.
Oh, that's real.
That's
Yeah, that's real. And I'm gonna tell you right now, everybody asks, well, why does this guy look? I don't hate anybody.
Right.
Why does this guy dislike this guy so much? People on the internet say hate. I don't hate anybody. Why do I dislike him so much? It comes back to this. Long time ago, I was at a Bellator event.
okay.
He was fighting on the card. He won. He comes in the back, and I've been seeing you walking around this week with so and so. I just wanted to come over and shake your hand. I respect you so much, man. Your career has been awesome. You've had so many great fights. You've come back from adversity. You and your wife, your foundation, everything. Man, it's really amazing. So nice to finally meet you and shake your hand.
Right.
Fast forward a year, 2 years, whatever, he makes it to the UFC. Now he's talking trash on me. You know? So right then and there, the next time I see him, I never see him again from the Bellator event. Great meeting, nice. Had a great small conversation. You know, then he's talking trash. Saying like, he gets a mic and does the fashion show thing.
Right.
Says some outlandish stuff. And I'm like, nah, this guy. And then I saw him in Vegas. He was coming into an event at the T-Mobile Arena. And that's the first time I saw him since.
Right.
So I said, you little bitch. I said, he walked in front of the security starts. I said, man, you a fake motherfucker. I said, I will beat your ass. And then they booked the fight. I wasn't trying, like, I was just telling him how I really felt. What he did at the Bellator show and then what he did on the mic.
Right.
I was still that same guy from the Bellator show. I was like, oh, and then he starts talking trash. I'm like, oh, this guy's really fake.
Right.
He's fake, bro. And he might be a good person at home, but my personal experience, he's fake, man.
Yeah, you don't like it when people
He's
say
fake.
one thing to your face and then say something else when they get a mic in front.
That's like me and you right now. Just had dinner, having fun. I meet your wife, meet your crew, and hey, bro, nice to meet you. Big
Right,
fan.
right.
And then you see me on Ariel Helwani's MMA show and going, man, RG3, he's okay. I mean, not really that cool of a guy. Like,
Please don't do that.
no, but you would feel like, man, what the
Yeah,
heck?
what
That's
the
how I
heck?
felt.
I got you.
But we do this knuckle shit, so I was even more mad. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, let's fight then.
You proved your point.
Yeah.
You definitely proved your
And
point.
he's a cheater. And then, dude, bro, I could go on for days. I get so amped up about this.
Let it
'Cause
out.
let me
Let
tell
it
you
out.
what. I get pissed off. He does all kind of stuff, man. Blows the blood in my eyes after I break his nose. That's cool. I've done that before. I'm not
Okay.
mad at him for that. It's war.
Right.
Whatever, you know, we're
By
fighting.
any means necessary.
Yeah.
You know, without cheating.
Without cheating. That's
Yes.
just, I've done that. A guy broke my nose in Vegas. I fought a guy named Joseph Duffy, the first guy to ever beat Conor McGregor. He made it to the UFC. I fought him. Robbie Lawler and Carlos Condit was the main event. I fought him there. We might have got fight of the night or something. Or, no, we got something. It was it was bloody fight. But anyway, I was bleeding all over him,
Right.
elbowing him, trying to make him blink so I could, elbow him while I was on top of him. But I admitted it after.
Yeah.
And then Chandler, I brought it up, and he said he didn't do it. Like, just admit it, bro. You so fake. Then he stuck his fingers in my mouth
Oh my God.
to lift my neck up for a rear naked choke, right? He's on my back. I'm trying to get up off the fence. He sticks his fingers inside my mouth, grips my mouth guard,
pull it up.
pulls my head up to try to get his hand under my chin. Bro, I bite his fingers so hard. Let me tell you what.
It's Mike Tyson stuff.
Hey, you heard it here first. Let me tell you what. If I didn't have a mouth guard on my top teeth, if my
Right.
teeth could touch together,
You bit his fingers off?
oh, bro, he'll be walking and rocking like this forever. Hey, because I had a grip so good, I felt my bottom teeth go into his skin. I bet you he was cut. He knows what I'm talking about. You hoe.
That's real hate, right? No, not hate. Real dislike.
I dislike him.
That's real dislike right there.
Then he said he didn't do it.
He said he didn't put his fingers in your mouth? Mm-mm. I think a man
Not
would remember
purposely.
if another man put his fingers.
Look,
You know what I'm saying?
a man
Yes.
remembers when, penetration, man.
God.
Are you willing to move on from the diamond collection?
I have one last question to the diamond.
Look, I'm
collector.
retiring this next one, but look, Chandler, you can get it anytime, buddy.
There we go. Sign him up. We have a big fight coming up with Alex Pereira and Ankalaev. You being the, legend that you are in the game, you know what a trap fight looks like. Is this a trap fight for Pereira? And I mean that because of he's a striker going up against a wrestler.
But how much do we see? It's a different kind of wrestler he is. How much do we see Ankalaev on top of guys grinding out? He kickboxes, man.
Yeah.
He kickboxes with guys. It's I don't know how he's going to fight. This is a mystery to me. And I'm a huge Pereira fan, man.
I think everybody is for the most part.
I think it's unpredictable. I'm excited about this matchup because if this guy comes out and wrestles, we've seen Pereira being taken down. We've got to see his get-ups. I know he's good everywhere, but he has God-given power, man.
Yeah.
One mistake from Ankalaev and the fight's over. I'm excited about that one, but I'm still picking Pereira.
Yeah, I'd pick Pereira too. I know he's such a dynamic star for the UFC and really just the MMA community in general, I think.
And you don't see that much when guys don't speak English. Yeah. But his star power is like crossed over. You know, usually in America, you need to be able to speak a little bit of English to kind of get the hype train.
To be able to cross over.
Yeah, but this guy, you don't need it.
Yeah, it's because he's doing side missions in South Korea, dancing with the K-pop groups and stuff. I'm like, every time I look up, Perez somewhere else, doing something else, like just random. What was it, the one where he was getting kicked? He got kicked. I don't know what he.
I think I saw he was leg kicking a guy.
He was leg kicking a guy. You remember the guy like took his pants off or something? He had shorts on or something.
I remember.
Okay. But he's done so many side missions. I wonder if that's part of the reason that his popularity has blown up, aside from the knockouts. Because I do think that that's another reason that you're a super popular fighter. It's because you go for the finish. You're not just trying to hang on for dear life and win by decision. You're actually
You're the fan favorite.
You're trying to put guys' lights out. Is that?
And I will put myself in harm's way to do it. Like that's what people want to see. It's a fight. I'm not trying to outpoint. Should be smart, circle, outpoint. You know, move and groove, getting a rhythm, touch. I'm not trying to hurt. I'm trying to get this guy. I'm trying to finish people in the ring. And that's what Pereira's doing, and he's doing it. And he just has such like a stoic demeanor. I've been around him a few times, and the guy's like different. You know, he's different.
Yeah, he is.
He's different.
Last question about Conor, for me at least, when you knocked him out, when did you know it's over? It looked like you were just going to keep swinging. You know, like when you were walking him down and then you caught him right as he was, you know, his feet were like crossed and you put him against the fence. Did you know at that point or shortly before that, oh, this fight's over?
I knew I had him hurt. I could see it in his movements and I could see it in his eyes and his reactions. He was just kind of in the fence. He was still moving well. Like I was missing a bunch of punches. He was moving well. And then I hit him with the hook when I kind of stepped into it and he went down. And then I hit him one more time when he was down and I knew that one. They spun his chin around and I saw his eyes rolling. And then my left hand, I just came with one more and Herb grabbed me. But that I knew before the last one he was done.
Okay.
But they say in the locker room, keep fighting until I pull you off. So let me get this last one. 7 years right here. Yeet.
Yo, you got it. You got your 7 years worth, that's for sure.
That was probably one of my best feeling knockouts ever. Especially in a different country, like being in Abu Dhabi and having the weight cut and the travel across the world. Like it was just a lot. You know, I've never fought. That was I fought Khabib there. I fought Khabib in Abu Dhabi. But just anytime you travel like that with the weight cuts, we cut weight and it's a lot, man. Yeah. It's a lot. So it just felt good to get the victory out there.
What's your favorite place to fight?
Vegas is super easy because everything's just so close. You know, you stay in this, usually you stay, well now with the T-Mobile, but before the T-Mobile, you stay in the same place you're fighting. You know, there's stores in there. You don't really have to leave. That's convenient for me. But here in Louisiana is my favorite place.
Okay. All right, moving on. Moving on from Diamond Collection. You mentioned a little bit ago, you mentioned your foundation. You and your wife have a foundation called the Good Fight Foundation. Tell the people a little bit more about it and what inspired you to give back in such a big way.
Me and my wife started the Good Fight Foundation back in 2018. And we started this is all organic growth into a foundation. I was auctioning off fight-worn things on eBay and just donating it out of before we had a name and a nonprofit, an actual nonprofit with the state of Louisiana. We were just doing it out of our names. And I had done it a few times. And when I'd go back home from fight camps, newspapers and news and stuff like that, Dustin Poirier did this, Dustin Poirier, I was like, you know what? That's awesome to get the recognition, but let's give it its own name. Right. And see if we can grow it. I don't want it to be me. I want it to have its own name. The Good Fight Foundation just felt right when we were talking. And see if we can get other fighters to get behind this and start donating their fight kits or telling us something going on in their communities that only they know about that we can help out with. They can auction their stuff and we can start doing that. And then it just kind of, it really just took off from there. You know, auction off everything I wear every fight for a long time now. And then we also crowdfund, and then all those funds go to whatever goal we have. We have a couple reoccurring things we do every year, but then on top of the main things we do every year, it's different things that whatever's going on in the community that we see we can help with or fill a gap. Another nonprofit's trying to do something and they're trying to raise money. We can help them get to their goal. That's what we do with the foundation.
Would you encourage more fighters to do that, you know, with their platforms, to build a foundation and be able to actually give back to the communities that help them?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. If you're in a position with a platform, and it took me years to look back and say, wow, you know, I do have a platform. People are listening when I'm on Fox, on ESPN, getting ready for these big fights. What is it to talk about something going on in my community for a couple minutes to get eyes on that or drive funding to something else going on? You know, it doesn't have to be my foundation. Just be a megaphone or a voice to those whose voice isn't heard. You know, there's so many people out there that need a lot of things and living the good life, fighting and having this platform. Why not? You know, I feel like it's our duty. If everybody tried to leave the place they found better than they found it, we'd be, you know, the world would be great. And that's the goal in life, is like to try to leave somewhere better than you found it.
Facts.
So I'm just playing my small part and trying to inspire others. And man, it feels good. You know, me and my wife, I tell people this all the time. The foundation's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work and a lot of stress and a lot of moving parts and a lot of, you know, we do everything by hand too. We don't use any third parties to pack the backpacks, to make the food, to pack the food in the boxes.
Right.
We do it all by hand. We have 6 board members and we do it all, and nobody's on payroll. This is all
Volunteer.
because we want to do it. Yeah. So like, it's just a lot of work. And when I go out there and I do it and I give these backpacks to kids, or I give these Thanksgiving meals to families and I see them eye to eye, man, it's crazy. You know, it's real. It's a great feeling, but it's also heartbreaking to see some situations people are in, man. I'm just thankful to be there and kind of bridge a gap in a small part of their life, you know. I don't take that stuff for granted.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely can't take it for granted. And we have a foundation as well. You know, we help food insecurity. It's a big, massive issue, and it's the root cause for a lot of things, especially in underprivileged communities. If they can't get the proper meals, how are they going to be able to grow and develop on the field, off the field, at home? So we do the same thing. And one thing that we always pride ourselves in is whenever you help somebody, they feel like, oh man, that's my hero. He did this, he did that. But it's the impact that they have on our lives that makes it worth it.
Oh yeah.
You know?
It's fulfilling, man.
It's so fulfilling.
Yeah. And a lot of people, speaking about the food, you know, we team with First Harvest Food Bank every year, every other year. Last year or the year before, we raised 250,000 meals for them.
Wow.
But people don't understand this. Like, people think, food's everywhere. Nobody's really starving. There are families out there that have multiple children in a home that the only meal they get is when they go to school.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't go to school, they don't eat. They eat lunch at school and then they don't eat again.
Yeah.
And there's a huge gap in the summer where these kids don't have food. So if there's a food bank or somebody working this around you, whatever city you're living in, just look into it. It doesn't have to be monetary. Donate some canned goods, donate something. Everybody will do the rest. But there are kids out there that don't get a hot meal, but if they go to school, you know, and no kid should go home and be hungry, man. It's ridiculous.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Same thing with the school supplies. No kid should, you know, each one of those kids could be the next president of the United States, the next doctor that finds a cure for cancer. Like, everybody is somebody. No kid should go to school without a notebook and a pencil, and lack of that's necessities to me. You need to go to school. You need to learn, you know.
Yeah.
So that's my speech about that. But no kid should be hungry. No kid shouldn't have the tools they need to learn. Not in America. Not this day and age, man. It's crazy.
No, we are so aligned on that. That's
It's
a
crazy.
fact.
What's something else you're passionate about that the regular fan might not know about outside of fighting and outside of, you know, helping people?
Cooking. I love to cook. I'm a cook. I'm a cook, man. And I got a great idea.
What's your specialty?
Cajun food, jambalaya, gumbo, red beans and rice. I mean, I can do anything though.
He said he had a great idea. What was your great idea?
Man, I want to do a food show. When I did Hot Ones, I pitched it, and me and actually First We Feast, the network that does, and Complex started putting together some stuff and kind of giving some feelers out there. Started shopping it around a little bit, but we just never really committed to it 100%. Man.
Okay, are you ready to commit to it now?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Maybe. We're working on it.
He's dying over it. What did you say?
I said maybe you can go to Paris and make some croissants.
I'll go to.
Can I not get away from the croissant at all?
No.
You don't even know about this, but I ate a giant croissant in Paris at the Olympics.
That thing went viral.
It went viral because we were both holding the croissant, and I was holding it.
Then.
I held it underneath and bit off the end. So, you know, people being the internet, they tried to make it something that it wasn't. But yes.
I don't want that Google. I want to find it, but I don't want to search.
Don't
They
show
actually,
them.
they actually made it a GIF until Instagram took
There
it
you
off.
go. There's the GIF.
2 hands, huh? Whoa.
Oh my God.
Okay, you focus on the retirement fight and doing that, and not seriously. We're looking to do more shows with talent like yourself, who obviously you have a big fan base, but just being able to have dinner with you tonight and be on the show, like, you're everything that I thought you were. And sometimes they say,
you're the man, bro.
Sometimes they say the movie The Fault in Your Stars.
Yes.
Sometimes they say don't meet your, you know, I wouldn't say my hero, but don't meet people like you're a fan of because they can disappoint you. And I've certainly had that in my course of, you know, being a professional for the past 12 years.
Right.
But you've been everything. You've been as advertised, bro.
Thank you, man.
That's incredible.
All right, we have one more segment called The Deep End. If you have no answer for it, say it, because it's, you know, deep questions. Okay, first one's not that deep. Has social media done more harm to the society than good?
I think it is good in some areas, but it's done more harm than good.
Okay.
Why do you think that?
Because we're just so disconnected from everyday life and nature and interacting with each other. We're just being grounded. We're just, you know, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
I can't say I didn't expect that answer from you, especially after you talked about the MMA community
Right.
and how it's become like this fashion show type of stuff.
Yeah, like that's life now. It's like
It's-
on the device.
Yeah.
It's on the device. It's on social media. So I think in certain aspects, it's helped as far as it allows the everyday normal person to have access to wealth quicker and maybe some
Yeah.
different ways. Like Kai Cenat probably wouldn't be what he is today.
Who?
Exactly. Okay.
Who knows?
Kai Cenat, the streamer.
Oh, yes.
Kai Cenat and I Show Speed. They wouldn't be what they are today if it wasn't for social media, if it wasn't for access.
Who?
Exactly. Okay.
Who knows?
Kai Cenat, the streamer. I Show.
Oh, yes.
Kai Cenat and I Show Speed. They wouldn't be what they are today if it wasn't for social media. If it would have access to wealth quicker and maybe some
Yeah.
different ways. Like Kai Cenat probably wouldn't be what he is today.
Who?
Exactly. Okay.
Who knows?
Kai Cenat, the streamer. I Show.
Oh, yes.
Kai Cenat and I Show Speed. They wouldn't be what they are today if it wasn't for social media, if it wasn't for access to the internet. You can become famous like that. But I also think it hurts. You're an expert at what you do. But if I've got 2 million followers on Twitter and I decide, you know what, I'm going to be the MMA guru, I can influence my audience to make them think I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to mixed martial arts, even if I haven't really been in it like you have. That to me is where some of the credibility is lacking, and it makes it a fashion show. All you have to do is garner a following and you can do whatever you want.
It makes
You
it
can
easy to
an
be
expert
something
in
you're
it.
not, for sure.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's Instagram models for you.
Exactly. You know, it's just highlights of life. That's not everyday
Yes.
life.
Right.
But also it's a great tool to spread information and
Correct.
to speak openly. And, you know, it is good for some things, you know, but that, like when it's changing the culture where these kids are making millions of dollars and they're 18 years old or OnlyFans and all this stuff like that. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
the trades are going to die. Who's going to be plumbers? Who's going to be doctors? Who's going to, you know, who's going to get their hands dirty?
Correct. Because everybody wants to get rich quick.
Yeah.
Everybody wants
But
to
that's
be,
not how- yeah.
That's not the world. You know, you got to have some expertise at what you're doing, and it can't just be in garnering a following, because followings.
It might, like you said, you might go viral for a second and get there, but to stay there, you know, ex-football player Inky Johnson
Yeah.
says it the best. I heard him say it multiple times, like your talent or something like a viral thing will get you to this point. But if you haven't built character, your talent, your athleticism, your whatever dumb line you said that got you famous, if you haven't gone through all this other stuff, your character can't withstand and hold you at that level. You're going to crash down. It's a fun ride,
Yeah.
but your character has to hold you there, you know, and you build that character through the grind, through the ups and downs and stuff. So.
What happened? Delane.
And it's exactly why you have the hot sauce. It's why you have the business and the buildings that you own, because you're not going to be able to fight forever.
Right.
And like you want, this will be your last one unless Michael Chandler comes back.
Hey, we can wheelchair it out, man.
I tell people this all the time. For a football player, I will never get the feeling of walking into a stadium with 100,000 people either cheering for me or cheering against me. That's a very rare feeling. I don't get that when I walk into Walmart, okay? I don't get that when I go to Starbucks or if we go to McDonald's or something. You're not going to get that, and some guys struggle with that. How will you deal with that when you're done? When you're not getting the roar of the crowd? When you go to a UFC fight afterwards, it still be there. But it's not you in the octagon anymore.
No, bro, I just had a conversation with somebody recently. It might have been one of my brothers. The life that I lived at a young age, like the dopamine and all the endorphins and the rushes, I've been so high on top of the world, like after knocking Conor out, after winning my first UFC fight, after making my first this much amount, like so high that when I come back down and I fly back home to Louisiana, it's like nothing gets me excited. Like I'm just scared of that. Like when I put the gloves down, hopefully here in New Orleans in the summer, and never fight again, I'm never going to feel that again.
Right.
Like what is going to get me excited? What's going to, you know, I have to find that. And that's soul searching. That's maturing. I got to figure that out. That's up to me to figure it out. But I just think knowing that, I can approach it better than just it blindside hitting me. At least I'm kind of going into this knowing what's coming in the future, you know?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It is tough. I'm a former track athlete, and I retired after we had our second daughter, but I found purpose in retiring, right? You know, it's really tough when you just have been an athlete your entire life. That's all you know. That's kind of that's all
who you are.
think. Exactly. That's all you think you are. But you know, I went straight into motherhood, so I found new purpose. But as for Robert, like when he retired from the NFL, there was a whole year of, you know, now what? And I could tell that weighs on a person mentally that has only known themselves in one way their entire life and don't really know what their new purpose would be. So, you know.
It's scary, man.
Yeah.
It is scary. It is.
It's scary.
A lot of guys don't know how to tackle it, you know.
It's true.
All right, so rapid fire. First one in the rapid fire section is, if Hollywood made a Diamond biopic, who would you want to play you? And who would you want to play Dana White?
Oh, don't make me do that to the boss.
Vin Diesel.
That's a
Okay,
good
hey,
one.
yo,
That's
good.
a good one.
Vin Diesel plays Dana.
That's a good one.
I know this is a stretch, but prime Jean-Claude Van Damme plays
Oh, that's not a stretch at all. That's actually a good one. I like that. I'd watch that.
Come
like
on,
that.
blood sport, kickboxer.
I would watch
Come on,
that.
come
I'd
on.
watch that. He would do it naturally too, and he still fights to this day. You know.
I know.
in
I
his
saw,
trainings.
I saw him in L.A., bro. He's still in shape.
I can't wait to Vin Diesel hits the "This is family.
Huh.
This is about family." I mean, this is what he does.
All right, if you could have any celebrity as your training partner for one day, who would it be?
Wiz Khalifa's doing a bunch of kickboxing stuff. I see.
Okay.
At least he knows Muay Thai and he's doing some stuff. That would be cool.
What if we
Wiz
could?
Khalifa?
That
Where's the
way,
camera? Wiz
but
Khalifa?
that way he knows what he's doing. you
Yeah,
know?
he knows what he's doing.
Or a boxing session with Kevin Hart. I see him hitting mitts a lot. You know.
I think that would be very funny. I think that would be enjoyable. That's a good one. Okay.
Those are
next.
just like big time celebrities that I know a little bit of fighting.
Yeah. You don't want to just get in there with somebody that.
Yeah, they need a little something. A little something.
You don't want to carry them the whole way. Just a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
All right.
Stop it, Riley.
Who's an up and coming fighter you think could be the next pound for pound king?
Every time I've got asked this question, up until a few years ago, I would say my boy Johnny Eblin.
Right.
I saw him from when he came out of college and first started learning to box and kickbox.
If you're looking for me, you gon' find me. You better pray I don't get you first, cause you be my prey. And it will be worse, and you will be cursed. And if I die, I'll keep coming back. Got that fucking right. I'll get paid back, put you in a sack, take you to hell. So you better dwell. Whatever dwell, I'll take your soul, I'll dominate it, won't contemplate it, too complicated, already did it, I'll always get it, I'll always hit it, right on the target, if I really want it, I don't need Satan to make it my bitch. Get over here! Cause I'm with the shits, the spirits are with me, for all that is good, for all that is pure, I get obscure, yeah, just like I'm Scorpion. Come here! Just like I'm Scorpion, I take your heart, I take your soul, I take your all, yeah. If you're looking for me, you gon' find me. You better pray I don't get you first, cause you be my prey. Alright. And it will be worse, and you will be cursed. And if I die, I'll keep coming back. Got that fucking right. I'll get paid back, put you in a sack, take you to hell. So you better dwell. Whatever dwell, I'll take your soul, I'll dominate it, won't contemplate it, too complicated, already did it, I'll always get it, I'll always hit it, right on the target, if I really want it, I don't need Satan to make it my bitch.
I fear nothing and no one.
Cause I'm with the shits, the spirits are with me, for all that is good, yo. So you better dwell, whatever dwell, I'll take your soul, I'll dominate it, won't contemplate it, too complicated, already did it, I'll always get it, I'll always hit it, right on the target, if I really want it, I don't need Satan to make it my bitch.
I fear nothing and no one.
Cause I'm with the shits, the spirits are with me, for all that is good, for all that is pure, I get obscure, just like I'm Scorpion, I get obscure, just like I'm Scorpion. Get over here!
Hello? What you do?
I don't know.
¿Qué hiciste?
If you're looking for me, you gon' find me. You better pray I don't get you first, cause you be my prey. And it will be worse, and you will be cursed. And if I die, I'll keep coming back. Got that fucking right. I'll get paid back, put you in a sack, take you to hell. So you better dwell. Whatever dwell, I'll take your soul, I'll dominate it, won't contemplate it, too complicated, already did it, I'll always get it, I'll always hit it, right on the target, if I really want it, I don't need Satan to make it my bitch. Get over here! Cause I'm with the shits, the spirits are with me, for all that is good, for all that is pure, I get obscure, yeah, just like I'm Scorpion. Come here! Just like I'm Scorpion, I take your heart, I take your soul, I take your all, yeah. If you're looking for me, you gon' find me. You better pray I don't get you first, cause you be my prey. Alright. And it will be worse, and you will be cursed. And if I die, I'll keep coming back. Got that fucking right. I'll get paid back, put you in a sack, take you to hell. So you better dwell. Whatever dwell, I'll take your soul, I'll dominate it, won't contemplate it, too complicated, already did it, I'll always get it, I'll always hit it, right on the target, if I really want it, I don't need Satan to make it my bitch.
I fear nothing and no one.
Cause I'm with the shits, the spirits are with me, for all that is good, for all that is pure, I get obscure, just like I'm Scorpion, I get obscure, just like I'm Scorpion. Get over here!